Thank you. Thank you very much, Excellencies. It is indeed a great honor for me to be part of this Leaders Dialogue. The COVID-19 pandemic may be the most important and pressing challenge facing humanity right now. But for us, especially as an island state, climate change remains the biggest long-term threat. The adverse impacts of climate change are deeply felt in island nations, where sea level rise, coastal erosion, coral bleaching, and even the disappearance of some of our islands, amongst others, are real threats to our livelihood. As we respond to the threats of COVID for urgent and immediate action, we cannot forget the multiple systemic shocks that are now threatening African communities. A health crisis, a food security crisis, and an economic crisis, all compounded by the climate crisis. Africa is facing a lot of challenges, but though the continent is being battered, we have to remain conscious of our contribution in combating climate change. It is only our solidarity and commitment that will bring global success. The combination of COVID-19 and climate impacts have severely devastated our economies. Countries around the world have collectively allocated over $20 trillion in COVID stimulus packages, thereby reducing the resources available to combat climate change. Climate change cannot wait while we address COVID-19. This must be addressed together and demands an urgent response. In Seychelles, the government is committed to building a climate-smart, resilient country to enable this transformation in all aspects. Our critical infrastructure, food security, coastal and marine resources, and water security are amongst the most vulnerable to climate change impacts. The critical need to enhance knowledge and understanding of climate change, the vulnerabilities and adaptation solutions, together with sufficient financial support, are key elements to achieving the needed resilience in the country. Seychelles has indeed deployed significant financial resources to scale up adaptation efforts in our national development strategy. We have aligned this strategy with future expected impacts of climate change. Protecting the environment through needed sacrifice has seen us as a small country set aside 30% of our EEZ and 50% of our limited land mass to nature protection. And we are committed to doing more as we lead by example. In this context, I want to commend the African Development Bank for its commitment to allocate $25 billion to climate change between 2020 and 2025. We are in that team. I welcome and commend the Africa Adaptation Acceleration Program to scale up and accelerate adaptation in Africa. Such programs act as beacons of hope for humanity, especially for our mother, Africa. I am pleased to note that AAAP has already identified projects that will be of benefit to Seychelles, but not only Seychelles, as my friend from the Comoros in the same region has mentioned, to small island states. And these include, for example, the development of a toolkit for the design and implementation of climate-smart digital technologies for agriculture, including last mile capacity building material for farmers that will be critical in assisting its agricultural producers to climate risks. Secondly, the development of a massive online open course on adaptation and climate change that will be able to support the youth of Seychelles to design and implement adaptation solutions and take part in the country's efforts. I call on development partners to urgently allocate more resources to adaptation in Africa in general and to the AAAP. The COVID-19 stimulus packages should not deprive African countries of the resources needed for climate change. Climate change initiatives should help us to build forward, better, greener, and safer. Strengthening Africa and the seed's resilience to climate change can provide major opportunities. If this cannot be done as a continent, we will fail to do so as a world. Let us come together. This is my call. Let us come together as it is our mission to protect the planet for today's and future generations. Let us do the absolute best through global solidarity. It is no longer about me, myself, and I, but it is about us as a global community. Thank you very much.